So daily scrum being 15 minutes is a problem for many. I think we talked about that in another video. The thing is, we still have more advice, some more things that can help reduce the time. Do we have 5 more in this, Rob?
I totally have 5 more. We might have 10 or 20 more, but probably should start with 5 more.
Let's work with the low-hanging fruit.
All right, well, I've got one here. So we keep running into this ourselves because not everybody on our team writes code. We do develop a coding product, one that requires coding. And somebody in the Daily Scrum just today was like, guys, I'm checked out. You guys are just talking zeros and ones. And immediately I realized this is the kind of thing that ends up contributing to Daily Scrums being over on time, is when we start talking into the tech and you've got a room full of people, not all of them are involved in that tech. So maybe just keep it focused to team level discussions. And if you need to talk tech, you can always do that right after the Daily Scrum event.
Boy, that really feathers into another one that I just thought of as you're talking. So if we're not all working on the same project, if we're not all working on the same thing, what you just described can happen. So one way to keep things within 15 minutes is have a 15-minute daily scrum about a single project, about a single product, about a single effort. Don't have a daily scrum that encompasses 15 projects or 3 projects or 4 projects. So limit the number of projects discussed in a daily scrum. Should be one product, one goal.
I think so. Yeah, have better focus. Your daily scrums will thank you. What about blockers? What about when we run into impediments and stuff? Is that something that we need to talk about throughout the entire daily scrum, about how we're going to fix this blocker or how we're going to remove it? I mean, if you ask me, I say no. When you discover a blocker, there's nothing to stop you from addressing it, noting it, maybe put it in the parking lot of some form, but then coming back to it later to actually solve the problem. And maybe not everybody on your Scrum team needs to be there to solve this problem. So be mindful of other people's time. Focus on the issues at hand, that the reason you're at the daily Scrum, which is to measure progress towards your sprint goal. If you find blockers, discuss them, but maybe take it outside.
So don't turn it into a triage. Let's talk about the sprint backlog itself. What does the Scrum Guide say? It says that the sprint backlog should demonstrate real-time status of the work towards the sprint goal or the work of the sprint. That's hard to do. Have you seen some of those tools? They're not super helpful.
No.
So we're going to advise probably bringing some additional tooling to the mix or some other visuals, whether it's a Kanban board that you're keeping updated, whether you have some kind of a live stream, if you will, almost like we call it like working out loud, that sometimes we'll participate in with our, say like our Slack channels and whatnot. Keep the information flowing so that way we always have a pulse for where things are at. I liken it to the scoreboard at a sporting event. You mentioned the Packers winning the other day. Can you imagine watching that football game in the stadium with no scoreboard and there was no announcers? You basically just watch people down on the field and have no concept of how much time is left or what the score is or what quarter or how many timeouts. That would be a very aggravating experience, but yet I see a lot of teams do that. So always have an updated sprint backlog and use the tools that'll help create that visibility.
Let's see what else we got in here. Standing up. A lot of people think that this meeting is about standing up. And for us, that's ridiculous. We don't see each other, but twice a year? We're all virtual, and many people we work with lately have gone all virtual. And does it really make sense to just get up out of your desk and stand for every one of these meetings? Are we going to raise our stand-up desk to its full height before we can have this 15-minute meeting? I mean, you can, and I get it. The point is to make it go faster, but there's other things you can do to make it go faster too, like, what was it, planking, you had said? Or one-knuckle push-ups?
I saw that on, I think it was LinkedIn. Somebody said, here's how we keep our daily scrums under 15 minutes. And it showed an entire team in a plank. I think it worked. And they said they had some fun doing it. But yeah.
I bet. You can, get your core in order while doing your daily scrum.
That would do the trick.
Exactly. The point of this event is just to keep it simple, keep it short and sweet, keep it focused on measuring progress towards a sprint goal. And you can do that, again, with just using a basic timer on the screen. I set that timer for 15 minutes. When the time is up, the meeting is over, you shut down the Zoom. Any meetings that need to be happening after the fact, we can set up. And I think another thing that people don't realize when they think of these daily scrums is they're like the only time your team can talk to one another. That's not the only time your team can talk to one. You can talk at any time of any day all week long. This is just the one time we get together and measure progress towards the sprint goal in a focused sort of way. Yeah. So anyway, standing up, don't need to do it.
I like it though. I still think that's it's funny. So the 3 questions are pretty common, come up. And whenever I'm teaching a class, this one happens where they say, oh, I know what the Daily Scrum is about. It's about the 3 questions. And then we end up notoriously just using the three questions to say hardly anything at all. And that's unfortunate. So what does a collaborative event look like in which we're not just answering 3 questions and handing off the speaking stick or whatever to the next person? If we've been working together and we know already what we've been doing together yesterday, we should be able to create and generate a plan for the next 24 hours. So I'm going to stick with that as the final one here. Maybe it's a bonus one. I think we did 5+ here, Rob. I'm not sure. But if you are focused on what are you doing for the next 24 hours, kind of think about that next 24 hours chopped up into segments, and you're going to have a different discussion. If it's just about what I did and what you did, that's not going to work. But if we know what we are doing together by lunchtime, by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, by end of day, by first thing in the morning before we do Daily Scrum, now we're looking at the day chopped up. So that's my final suggestion.
All right. Well, 5 more things that you can do to keep your Daily Scrum short, sweet, under 15 minutes.